again, welcome to Business Incorporated. We have 55 minutes to go around the world of business to get updates. And here's what we have prepared for you. In Tanzania, they're lifting trade ban on agricultural produce from Malawi and South Africa. Inflation in Zimbabwe is still going up. It's up 85.7%. Cryptocurrency receives attention in Ghana. Regulation is starting by September. Welcome to the program. I'm Ini John Mekwa. Let's start from the global space. As usual, oil prices were stable on Monday as investors are weighing uncertainty over trade talks between the U.S. and China, clouding the outlook for global growth and fuel demand, as well as the prospect of OPEC Plus raising supply. Brent, we see, lost 13 cents. That's a reverse of what we had in the morning. So it's now down to $66. $66.74 a barrel after it lost 0.1%. And WTI is also down, same percentage now at $62.90 a barrel. Brent futures rose marginally in the previous two sessions, but nonetheless marked a week-on-week decrease of over 1% on Friday on concerns about the impact of tariffs on the global economy. The U.S.-China trade war is dominating investor sentiment in moving oil markets. This is the observation of analysts. And also, there's the nuclear talks between U.S. and Iran and a discord within the OPEC Plus coalition. They are meeting on Monday. Well, markets have been rocked by conflicting signals from the U.S. President Donald Trump and Beijing over what progress was being made to de-escalate a trade war that threatens to sap global growth. Some members of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries and their allies, that's OPEC Plus, are expected to suggest that the group accelerates oil output hikes for a second consecutive month when they meet on Monday. Meanwhile, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araqi said that he remained extremely cautious about the success of the negotiations as nuclear talks between Iran and the United States and Oman continues this week. Gold prices dropped more than 1% today as easing U.S.-China trade tension boosts investors' risk appetite and dense demand for safe haven assets such as the bullion, while a stronger dollar also is piling pressure on that. So we see a 1.4% drop in spot gold down to $3,227.89 a barrel. U.S. gold also went down almost 0.5%. $3,283.70. Spot silver down 1.2%, $32.70. Platinum is also down more than 0.5%, $965.70. And palladium just 1% down at $939 is what we have per ounce. U.S. President Donald Trump has said that talks on tariffs were taking place with China, and the Trump administration signaled openness last week to de-escalate a trade war between the world's two largest economies that has raised fears of recession. On Friday, China exempted some U.S. imports from steep tariffs. Well, China quickly knocked down Trump's assertion that negotiations were underway, and we know gold traditionally is seen as a hedge against economic and political uncertainties and thrives in a low-interest environment. Meanwhile, many participants in the International Monetary Fund and World Bank spring meetings have said that Trump's administration was still conflicted in its demands from trading partners that it hit with a sweeping tariffs. And so we'll see what comes up after all of this. China still insisting that there are no negotiations going on, while Mr. Trump is saying that negotiations are on the way. We come to Nigeria, where the Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC, has commenced the payment of 46.6 billion naira from liquidation dividends to depositors of the defunct Heritage Bank. According to the NDIC, the payment of the first tranche of liquidation dividends started on Friday, April 25, and is aimed at ensuring that all eligible depositors of the closed bank are adequately reimbursed. The NDIC adds that the liquidation dividend represents the amount paid to depositors from the proceeds realized from the sale of the bank's assets and recovery of outstanding debts in excess of maximum insured limit. Fitch Ratings has upgraded the long-term foreign and default ratings of Kaduna, Kogi, Lagos, and Oyo State from B- to B, reflecting improved macroeconomic stability and recent policy reforms in Nigeria. According to the agency, the foreign rating upgrade has been mirrored in the states, given the predominant role of the federal government in Nigeria's intergovernmental fiscal framework. The agency also notes an increase of over 20% in federal VAT and oil-related transfers to states in 2024, providing critical financial support. While still in Lagos, I guess one of the reasons Lagos has received that upgrade is they're hosting a landmark event to kick off Africa Venture Capitalist Week, bringing together investors, entrepreneurs, policymakers to spotlight Africa's dynamic startup ecosystem. As the week unfolds with major gatherings like the 21st Annual AVCA Conference and the Africa Arena Lagos Summit, the momentum for innovation and investment across the continent seems undeniable. Juliana Olayinka, our correspondent, is there, covered the pre-event last night, spoke with the Minister for Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, as well as the Chief Executive Officer of Kuramo Capital.
Well, this week is a terrific week for Nigeria. I mean, it's been 11 years since the African Venture Capital or Private Equity came to Nigeria for their conference. I believe we have over $2 trillion that's going to be in Nigeria this week. And for us, it's important that we showcase the best of Nigeria, starting from what the government has to offer, to what investment opportunities we have to offer, and to the potential of the country. So we're very excited about the fact that we have all these global investors in the country this week.
And the reason why Nigeria is getting this attention at this time speaks to the reforms and the inflection point that Mr. President's reforms have led us to. So I keep encouraging Nigerians that this is the time to really press in. You can see all the movement, all roads lead to Lagos, Nigeria, and we're ready for it. For Africa, for Nigeria, and for the world.
More attention for Lagos State. It's also where AMIDA 2025 conference was held, the first time that the CSCS in Nigeria will be hosting that event. And they brought in, of course, stakeholders from the capital market as well as the financial sector. From the federal government, Securities and Exchange Commission, Africa and Middle East Depositories Association, AMIDA, and other financial market stakeholders are holding the 2025 conference. The theme is Shaping the Future, Financial Markets and Infrastructure as Catalysts for Transforming Economies. And the target is to accelerate collaboration to enhance capital market infrastructure and drive economic growth on the continent.
Local vision is very important. You have to have a vision from a local perspective, and then you can broaden it further within the context of what we're saying. So regional responsibility is very important. How do you ensure that within the context of when you do those interoperabilities, that the responsibility is not just on a local basis, but is broadened to a regional perspective?
The role played by the financial market infrastructures in enabling economies and adopt innovative and achieve inclusive growth. AMIDA holds the view that financial infrastructure is not solely a technical tool. It constitutes an essential mechanism for development and sound basis for incentivizing investment, improving transparency, optimizing market efficiency, and realizing economic integration within the region.
The special advisor to Nigeria's president on economic affairs, Dr. Tope Fashua, is representing the vice president, and the message from him is diversifying the economy through financial sector.
Transforming economies will mean developing diversified economies and getting involved in global value chains with elevated value-added products and services, and not mere crops and crude minerals. Transformation will mean recalibrating our financial markets infrastructure to deliver for our people, our companies, and even our government. we wish to assure all of us here the full support, cooperation, and collaboration of the federal government of Nigeria in this noble quest, and also emphasize that you are all welcome to having further deliberations that will make this quest a reality.
Panel session brings together stakeholders from members of AMIDA, and concerns span from domestic financial environment to global.
Locally, from our point of view, again, we are solution providers, so we are helping different sectors and industries into the capital markets area. But as it was mentioned, for instance, for Bamboo, bringing those user experience capabilities to retail side and so on. So that's quite relevant. That's something that we see all across Africa. There are now new initiatives, again, either driven by fintechs or even directly could be by stock exchanges or well-known brokers or dealers and so on. So basically, now that's something that it's quite relevant and it's having a lot of traction.
We've got 6 crowdfunding intermediaries registered right now at the SEC. However, even though it's one thing to create the platforms and to create the opportunities, it's another thing for it to be subscribed. And what we have seen is, even though we've created 6 crowdfunding intermediaries, we have not seen the activity that we thought we would see from those who are seeking capital. So again, there's a disconnect there that we're studying.
This is the first time Nigeria's Central Securities Clearing System is hosting the 2-day event, and the meeting holds the view that financial infrastructure is not solely a technical tool, but constitutes an essential mechanism for development.
Africa and through America.
A lot of business and activities going on in Lagos this week. I guess that's why they have that Fitch rating upgraded. Now, in spite of the efforts of the government at different levels to reduce the number of the poor in Nigeria, the World Bank has revealed that 19% of the extremely poor live in sub-Saharan Africa live in Nigeria. Former country director Give Directly Nigeria, who was a guest on Business Morning earlier today, believes that the missing link lies in implementing the policy which the government at different levels have introduced.
The federal government shouldn't, in actual sense, be implementing programs at the local government level. They should stick to policy and provide the needed quality assurance and oversight on the state governments to be able to supervise and ensure that the local governments do well. So fixing the systems and the structures could help in addressing these gaps. And then we as Nigerians, we really need to perhaps increase our sense of patriotism to these issues. Because if you look at some of the problems, really, they are generated by us. The government, the president in his wisdom, has pushed for local government autonomy. Money should be sent directly to the local government. Why are the state governors standing in the place and ensuring that this doesn't happen? You wonder. I mean, even if you want, there are so many issues that are challenging us about that, but I think most importantly, we need to enhance our sense of patriotism and ensure that what it is for the people gets to the people.
Closely related to that, the National Agribusiness Policy Mechanism, a strategic plan designed to increase the agricultural productivity, stabilize food prices, and fuel wider economic development, is a new program by the federal government, and reactions have been following this. One is from the managing director of Banjoko Motunde Farms Limited. He was a guest also on Business Morning, speaking about how this could be an effective policy.
This government always have. We've talked about this initiative. This is the planting season for most of the southwestern states majorly. While the northern states, some of them will probably start later in the year or towards the middle of the year because of their climate and rain pattern. So we should start rolling it out now when we need it more. Because what happens most times is that farmers get some of this information, input at the later time. All the same, it's a very good initiative. which I think, if well pursued, because you remember, I think the last time I was here, we were talking about the recapitalization of Bank of Agriculture.
Yes.
The body language we also got then was that by first quarter in the year, it would have been completed.
So that's about putting food on the tables of Nigerians. There's also a new way to do it, which is the AI and technology way. That seems to be the trend now, and it's reshaping careers and even agriculture in one way or the other. So we have right here in the studio to talk about that AI input or tool to all that we do, the Chief Executive Officer of RKY Careers. So there you go, it's already out there, it's about the careers. It's Rukayat Alabi. Hi, Rukayat, good afternoon, welcome to the program.
Yeah, good afternoon, thanks for having me.
Great, so I mean, it seems every conversation now, financial sector, agriculture, health, is all about AI adoption and technology, but you were looking at the careers. And we see a lot of people engage in short courses, you know, to get upgraded and all of that. And it seems to be a compelling thing, whether you like it or not. That's the reality now. But we should not be scared that AI is taking over our jobs. I think that has been eroded by now.
Yes, I totally agree with you. AI is not, coming to take our jobs. We actually need to catch up with AI because AI isn't going anywhere. All roles, even traditional roles now, have had to adapt, AI into it. And statistically speaking, professionals who have AI certifications, courses, or are able to demonstrate their ability to implement or integrate AI into what they do, are able to get jobs even faster. And even if we look at entrepreneurial side as well, it's very important to adapt and move with the trends. AI is actually changing the way we do business as well. We have AI agents right now who are is helping us to complete tasks more easily than we would usually do. So AI isn't going anywhere and it's not taking our jobs. It's actually making things...
So you better adopt.
Exactly. So it's making things better and even creating opportunities. Jobs that people have to actually go to the uni to study, or even skills that people need to learn, right? Through like 6 months, 8 months, or even 1 year are easily being learned now, or easily being, those kind of jobs are available and easily learned through AI now.
Yeah, but I also hear, because I had a similar conversation some time ago, I mean, the issue of hybrid jobs and this, I mean, now we do a lot of interviews on Zoom and all of that, and all of these are part of the new trend. But I hear now that even the skills are getting saturated. What I mean by that is, formerly it used to be if you have the skills and you can't do an AI job or a remote job, you have a job waiting for you. But now it seems the market is saturated and everybody's going that way. Who is going to create the jobs?
Right. So yeah, there's this myth about some jobs being saturated, right? Some fields being overcrowded. However, that's because a lot of people focus on just the technical skills. There are so many people that have technical skills right now. However, to get a job, to stand out in the job markets now, you need much more than technical skills. You need the soft skills, to be able to cope or to survive or thrive in a hybrid or remote environment. You need soft skills. You need emotional intelligence. You need to be able to manage stakeholders. What will make two different candidates stand out or difference in an interview is not about their ability to complete the tasks or their ability to apply the technical skills. It's about their people skills. How do they come across? How are they perceived?
But is that also an AI thing?
Right, so that's not AI, and that's where AI is not going to take our jobs. So even if you have the technical skills, the people skills you have, your interpersonal relationship skills, your emotional intelligence is what will now make you different from a robot that's just, crammed out to do a job or just, learns a skill without actually having practical experience in that field.
So what are the biggest challenges that, this new trend brings for small businesses, for individuals looking to switch careers and all of that?
Right, so what I would say is the main challenge people have is adapting really fast because it's really moving fast. There are new evolutions, new emerging technologies coming up every day. But what we can do, or what professionals and entrepreneurs can do, is to, first of all, in the business side, make sure that they validate their ideas. They should not just feel that, oh, because AI can do something, let me start it. You know, AI can help me do this, let me start it. Validate your idea. Make sure there's actually
What do you mean by
demand.
validating your idea?
Right, so most people feel to start a business, what you need is to just have a very good idea. But a very good idea is not what is going to make your business successful. The first thing you need to do is to validate that idea. Make sure there's actually a demand for it and not just something you're making up in your head. And after this has been done, you have to actually go the lean way, because funding isn't also easily come by. A lot of people start businesses with the mindset that they will get funding, and then we need to start lean and have efficient operations in place to now grow organically. Right, and also for professionals trying to transition to tech or trying to adapt these AI skills, first of all, they need to acquire the skill sets, gain practical experience in it, and then, join communities where they can thrive and be supported.
But a lot of people don't have the patience now. I mean, as you said, because AI can help us to do a lot of things. We just depend on AI. We go to the internet, we have the data. Oh, there, we can fly. And I think there are risks to that also.
Yes, definitely. I mean, we don't have the patience, which is why courses like, courses that are like practical experience focused are better and, way easier to transition to learn these skills. Courses that has been designed to include not just the technical skills, but also the soft skills, as well as, all the support you need to either be job ready or be business ready. So, which is why mentorship and coaching isn't going to go anywhere. Is also going to be a very big part of you actually having a successful career or even a successful business. You can't just do it because you have the technical skills. It can take you to a certain level, but it won't take you to the optimum you really want to achieve.
So what are the selling sectors amidst all of this new trend?
Right, that's a very tricky question. That's a very tricky question. To be honest, when making decisions about what career paths to explore or what emerging technologies to adapt, there's no one size fits all. What's most important is the interests. What do you have interest in? What's your background? What have you laid your hands on? What have you done? What did you study? And then after this...
What did you study? Does it still come in now? Because it does seem like a lot of us go to school and come out and we do what we find to do, not based on what we studied.
Right. So the what did you study will probably be for people that are like entry level, that have zero experience. Right. So, and that's why I said about 3 factors should be considered. What's your background? What do you find easy to do? Then what do you have interest in? Because there are so many of them that bad combination might not give you the best or optimum results you want. So a combination of your background, your interest, and your capacity as well. For instance, not everybody is going to be a software developer. Just because it's easier and it's a very good career path. Sometimes barrier to entry as well is also something to consider. There's some career paths that you can't just get into and straight away you learn and then straight away you're applying or you get a job. You need to get some certifications, you need to get some licenses and all of that. So what's most important is to make sure that it's aligned with yourself, because the process of even trying to transition could actually be inundating if the interest and the real motivations are not in place.
If the real motivation is money.
If the motivation is just money, I mean, maybe...
I think frustration awaits you somewhere.
Exactly.
But everybody's talking about career change and transitioning and all of that. And I wonder, you talked about requirements, if age comes in, because, it's easy for the young ones to easily transition, but an individual who has been in a sector, in a career path for decades, and then says, oh, this is the trending job or sector and wants to switch. I wonder what kind of hurdles would await such an individual.
Right, thanks for that. So the first thing is that we need to first of all look beyond our immediate environment, because if you're looking just at probably a particular place you're situated, age might actually be a factor in some environments. However, the world is now very small. It's a global market. We have people, physically in Nigeria, getting jobs, getting gigs in the US, earning in the UK, earning pounds and all of that. So what's most important is the skill sets. In lots of these areas, age is not a barrier. What's most important is what skill set do you have? What experience are you able to demonstrate? And that's what will get you the job. Age is not really a barrier. We have a lot of people, for instance, at RKY careers that we train that are like 50 and just trying to transition into new career paths to get jobs in the UK, to get jobs in the US. So age is not a barrier. What's most important is what can you do with your hands, which is why I will always tell people, keep working on yourself, even while you are waiting, while you're trying to get a job, while you are waiting, during your waiting period, keep working on yourself, because whatever it is, whatever improvements you get on yourself cannot be taken away from you.
Okay, yeah, the way you're saying, I think there should be no unemployment. There should be no unemployment in Nigeria, in the world at all.
Right.
Because, I mean, the sky is so wide, the opportunities are so much that, but we still have high unemployment in many countries, including Nigeria.
Yeah, I agree with you. And that's why the skills are important. That's why the skills are important. And there are so many ways you can utilize the skill set after you've gained them. Once you have the skill set that are in demand, you could either use it, to get a job. You could use it to start a business. You could monetize it. Look at the gig economy right now. Do you know that the young guys are not even trying to get jobs right now? I have people that, just one gig, 30 minutes, 100K end. So it's all about what skill set do you have. At the same time, you have some people who are lamenting and complaining about not being able to earn anything because they don't have skill sets that are transferable or that are monetizable. So it's about what skill sets do you have. That's what makes all the difference. People are actually also making a lot of money and taking advantage of these opportunities are abound. And this is where education also comes in. Awareness, education. People need to know that tech skills are very important. Emerging technologies, AI, we need to actually catch up with it really fast to actually stay competitive in the job markets.
All right, so it's a challenge now. You're not supposed to be unemployed because the sky is very wide with opportunities. Rukayat Alabi, Chief Executive Officer of RKY Careers. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll head to the markets with intraday numbers right here on Business Incorporated. Please stay with us. Welcome back. It's still Business Incorporated here on Channels Television. And yes, the market is back in the green. That's the NGX. And we even gained back the 106,000 level at 106,111.38. It's up 0.34%. Hopefully, we'll have about 0.5% at the close of trade. Hopefully, South Africa, it's Friday's close because the market is closed today. They have a public holiday, so there's no trading today, but it closed green on Friday at 90,720.33, up 0.19%. They call that the first democratic election held. That's what they're commemorating today, National Public Holiday. And then over in Egypt, it's a positive market at intraday 0.23%, 31,927.59, while for Nairobi Stock Exchange closed Friday in the red, but it closed at 125.80, lost 0.27%. We move over to the Middle East and see a very good positive market for Dubai, almost 1% in the green, 0.96%. That's 5,212.18. Abu Dhabi is also very positive at 0.82%. In the green, 9,469.25. Saudi Arabia is, however, in the negative, slightly down, though, 0.02%, while Qatar takes us back to the green zone, 0.34% in the green, 10,304,000.15. In the United States, stock futures were flat on Monday ahead of a packed earnings week. Earnings started last week. A lot of the corporates have been releasing, and we've seen the impact of tariff on investor sentiment. Remember, we talked about Tesla last week, got really hit by the sentiment surrounding the Trump administration, saying that Elon Musk is part of that one way or the other. But we see the features for this morning in the red, 40,191 after it went down 0.17%. S&P features also red. NASDAQ also red at this time. Investors are looking ahead to the business period of the first quarter earnings, which will see more than 180 S&P 500 companies report results. So that's what's going to happen this week. 4 of the Magnificent 7, Amazon, Apple, Meta, Microsoft, they are set to release their reports this week. And that, of course, will lead sentiments in the market. This week will also mark the end of April, which has seen stocks whipsaw across a wide trading range after those tariff plans. See a bit of stability around there now. We don't know how long it will last for. Then we go to Asia and see a mixed market also for Asia. The Nikkei is green, comfortably so, 35,839.99 after it gained 0.38%. Kospi of South Korea, a bit of peace coming back here, after that political issues around there. Seems that's settling up. I think they have an election or so, and that's bringing some calm to the nerve of investors there. The Hang Seng Index is, however, in the red, 0.04% down, 21,971.99. Shanghai is also red. The Nifty is, however, green. Yeah, remember this morning we talked about how it seems that investors are finding solace in India, seeing that they are not in the middle somewhat of the US-China trade war. So India seems to be a place to go to, and we've seen some manufacturers from the United States who would normally go to China for some of those cheap labor heading India, because India, of course, they also have the population to give that. So some recovery there and relief coming the way of India amidst the trade war. Now let's head over to Germany now and find out what's going on with our DW connection. For over 50 years, the World Economic Forum has brought political and business leaders from around the world to Swiss Mountain. We talked about that earlier this year in Davos. The last meeting was in January, but as much as the forum billed itself as an advocate for global change, it's always been controversial. Remember some of the details of that conversation and the essence of it. Now its founder and chairman is under scrutiny. Laz has the details, the full gist for us. Hi, Laz. Good afternoon. So I hope this is not going to stop the World Economic Forum, because, I mean, it's a major meeting, even though a lot of people question the impact it has after conversations.
Well, yeah, it's likely not going to stop the World Economic Forum, but maybe it will make some people see the forum in a different light. And now let me tell you what's going on here as of late. We are talking about Klaus Schwab. He is now 88 years old, and he was indeed kind of a visionary back then, some 50 years ago, when he founded the World Economic Forum. And the forum's stated mission is, and I quote, "We bring together government, businesses, and civil society to improve the state of the world." Now, that certainly sounds like a great and noble mission, but there are some who are now saying that Mr. Schwab wasn't really just in it for the betterment of the world, but that he was also very interested in the betterment of his own financial well-being. Also, that working for the forum was not exactly what you might expect from a group with such a strong commitment towards making a better world. In fact, whistleblowers have said that they worked in a toxic environment, that the forum regularly discriminated against women as well as black people. Now, that would be terrible in and by itself, but it's even more so terrible as the forum has always projected that idea that they were trying to strengthen developing economies, including in Africa, but also Asia, South America. Also, now there's allegations that Mr. Schwab influenced or even faked research done by his organization, specifically the influential Global Competitiveness Report. He's said to have intervened on behalf of certain governments when it came to their listing in that report. So that smells a bit like corruption here. And there's your run-of-the-mill greed as well. Whistleblowers saying that Mr. Schwab used funds from the forum to pay for unnecessary luxury trips for himself and his wife, as well as lavish hotel stays, including massages. Now, Mr. Schwab is denying all the allegations. Of course, he has even threatened to sue to protect his image. But the stories definitely cast a shadow over this organization.
It sure does, Laz. It sure does. And, to think that there were other types of controversy, not as deep as this one. So I wonder if actually the forum can survive all of this.
Yeah, that is an interesting question because, of course, that shakes it to the core. But, you know, I always found it interesting how the forum has, on the one side, been seen as this quintessential marketplace for the big wheelers and dealers. They had to attend every year. You saw the A-list there connecting Obama, Trump, Putin, Modi, Ramaphosa, Xi. They were all there. And how on the other side has always been criticized by the right as well as the left. The number one problem many had with the forum was, of course, that it projected such a strong focus on social justice, equality, networking on behalf of the disadvantaged people as well as entire economies, but that the forum, in fact, was dominated by political leaders and especially companies who just at the end went on carving out niches for their own business, their own success. So all in all, it often seemed that the presence of NGOs and the focus on global social issues was just a fig leaf for an organization that just kept with the status quo in the end, with the world's mightiest powers ruling the game like they always had. And seriously, if you look at today's global inequality, you could probably say that at best, the World Economic Forum has failed to make a change. At worst, you could probably argue that they have never really tried.
Well, sounds like an ongoing story. I hope we have to wait till January to see how much impact it will have in the annual meeting. But let's see what investors are doing intraday, Lars.
Yes, let's just say they're having a pretty good day. The DAX is up by about 0.2%, and the German index is just generally trying to stabilize at that level and leave all that tariff and trade stress behind that had pressured markets for the last couple of weeks. The mood is generally still a bit fragile, but at least we're in positive territory for now. Now, there's another story today that investors are keeping an eye on. We're getting names on who is going to be in the future government. And so far, we know that Katharina Reiche will be heading the economy ministry. Now, she has some experience in the energy sector. She's not a straight-up politician, but she has real business experience. But the economy resort is getting a cut. They're taking, for example, digitalization out, and that gets its own department headed by a gentleman named Carsten Wildberger. Now, he is the former CEO of a major German retailer. So someone, again, picked right out of the private sector instead of the regular party crowd. That seems to be an upgrade right there. And maybe the new chancellor is heading in the right direction here, no longer recruiting people from the party, but looking for proven competence instead.
Yeah, I guess it's a breath of fresh air for you over there. And we wish you the very best as the new government unfolds, Lars.
Thank you. Good talking to you.
Same here. Bye. All right, now let's come back to Africa. We begin from Lagos. The Women DeFi Summit shows women taking their place, not just in the traditional roles, but also AI-related and technology.
At the center of that,
it may not be much, but the women are still pushing the frontiers in discussions. This time, it's Women in DeFi Summit for 2025. Participants are mostly Africa's premier female-led Web3, championing women in blockchain, technology, and digital careers. Their conversations here is on the theme, Building Bridges, Connecting Women, Inspiring Innovation. They say this is designed to empower and equip women across Africa with the tools, knowledge, and networks they need to thrive in the world of Web3 and decentralized finance.
The way we live, it's changing the way we communicate. It's changing the way we transact and work. And at the center of that transformation is decentralization. Power is shifting from the few to many, from centralized systems to distributed networks. The world is becoming more open, more inclusive, and more participatory. And guess what? Women make up 51% of the entire global population. So there is no way that we're not part of this transformation.
And while convincing the world to let women have their space, they must also bring each other up.
Out on your shit. Do you get? Whether you're my friend or you're my community member or you're just a normal person I see on Twitter, I will call you out on your shit. So that is why I want us to do there's something called a body system, a Web3 body system. Create your own body. You don't necessarily have to be friends with that person. Like, you see someone on Twitter, person has potential. You too, even if you are just growing, carry that person close to you. Share updates within yourselves. You learn together. I was able to grow to the extent I'm in right now. I mean, I'm still growing, thanks to the people I have in my body system.
The organizers say this inaugural edition aims to bridge the gap between curious learners, professionals, and industry leaders through curated sessions and meaningful dialogues. Tanzania has officially lifted the temporary ban on agricultural imports and transit trade involving Malawi and South Africa 2 days after imposing the restriction, citing ongoing diplomatic engagements and hopes for a long-term resolution. The initial suspension had been triggered by what Tanzanian authorities viewed as unjustified restrictions by both countries on the entry of Tanzanians' agricultural produce into their market. Following the diplomatic standoff, the government of Malawi and South Africa initiated contact with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and East African Cooperation and Ministry of Agriculture, expressing readiness to resolve the issue through mutual dialogue. Zimbabwe's local currency, the ZiG, has returned to positive monthly inflation in April 2025, recording a rate of 0.6% up from minus 0.1 that is recorded in March. This marks a 0.7 percentage point increase, indicating a reversal from a brief period of deflation in the previous month. The ZiG CPI now stands at 185.68, that's up from 184.50 in March, and a significant rise from 100 in April 2024, which served as the base at the time of the currency's introduction. The year-on-year inflation rate for ZiG in April was reported at 85.7%, the first official annual rate since the currency was launched in April 2024. This elevated figure is largely attributed to price increases that followed October 2024 devaluation of the local currency. The International Monetary Fund has released a report ranking the largest economies in Africa based on economic performance indicators demonstrated by countries over the past period. The IMF expects the Egyptian economy to witness significant growth of 3.8% during the 2024-2025 fiscal year, compared to 2.4% growth in the previous fiscal year. This expected improvement reflects the relative stability witnessed by the Egyptian economy, with positive indicators towards further expansion in various sectors. South Africa topped the list, followed by Egypt, Algeria. Nigeria is in the fourth place, recording a significant decline despite its large population. Its GDP is expected to exceed $188.27 billion during the same period. Morocco is fifth, followed by Kenya, Ethiopia, Angola, Cote d'Ivoire, and Ghana in 10th place with a GDP of $88.33 billion. The report, which focuses on economic diversity in Africa, indicates that some African countries have become influential forces in the continent's GDP, while others continue to face significant economic challenges caused by political crises, weak infrastructure, and over-reliance on a single economic sector. Let's head to the crypto space now and see what's happening. It's beginning from Ghana. The governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Asiama, has announced that the central bank is set to begin regulating cryptocurrency and related platforms by the end of September 2025, pending the passage of the Virtual Asset Providers Act. DC Asiama states that the BOG is establishing dedicated digital assets units, recognizing that this technology cannot be prevented. And this move contrasts with the BOG's 2018 public notice that did not recognize cryptocurrencies under Ghanaian law and cautioned against their use. Asiama also discussed broader strategies for improving US-Africa trade and investment, emphasizing macroeconomic credibility, strategic autonomy, financial system resilience, and risk mitigation. So more acceptance for crypto there, and just from our neighboring country here, Ghana. Let's see other headlines from the crypto space. We see Coinbase calling for an end to the SEC staff crypto ownership ban. The Coinbase has asked for the United States Office of Government Ethics to overturn a rule that prevents SEC staff from holding cryptocurrencies. They wrote letters to public letters to representatives from the Coinbase. They argue that the current restrictions under the SEC's ability to properly regulate digital assets under Legal Advisory 2022-04 issued on July 4, SEC employees are barred from buying, selling, or using cryptocurrencies and stable coins. That sounds strict, yes? So they're asking for that to be removed. And also another headline, Stacks Asia expands Bitcoin initiative with Abu Dhabi partnership. We know that the UAE seems to be embracing a cryptocurrency more aggressive than a whole lot of others. And then Grayscale's GBTC surpasses other Bitcoin ETFs with 268 annual revenue amid 70% decline. We have Eliman now, Eliman Damble, co-founder of Savio AI, to have this conversation with us. Hi, Eliman. Good afternoon and welcome to the program.
Oh, good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Great. So we see Ghana is upping its game, and they say regulation of cryptocurrency will start by September. It does seem there's more realization of the value in cryptocurrency, even though there's still a lot of skepticism.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think generally in terms of governments, of course, we saw El Salvador, of course, taking an early position of buying a lot of crypto for its reserves. But I think when we saw President Trump essentially campaigning on crypto regulation, being pro-crypto last autumn, you are seeing a lot of governments globally starting to follow that narrative as well. So situation with Ghana, and again, I think a lot of nations will start to move to integrating crypto regulation into their respective administrations.
Yeah, you mentioned El Salvador there. It seems like the IMF, the World Bank still need a lot of convincing, because I think it's one of the requirements from IMF that made El Salvador switch from making Bitcoin a major currency in their country.
Yeah, I think in general, in terms of the IMF, the World Bank, of course, traditionally, they are going to be more skewed towards traditional finance. So in terms of use cases, or countries like El Salvador, there is going to be some resistance to governments trying to move away from fiat monetary systems. So I think it's more, again, somewhat of a, I wouldn't say a conflict of interest, but difference of opinions, basically.
Telemann, so what's going on in the market now? A bit of stability we see following the, I don't know if to call it pause or talks, even though China has said they're not having talks with the US is saying, oh, there are talks and negotiations going on, but isn't there a bit of calm now in the markets?
Absolutely. I remember the last time we spoke, everything was going wrong in the markets. We saw the S&P falling to multi-year lows. Gold was at record highs. The tides have somewhat turned, but pretty much what we said last time still remains. So in terms of, if you're looking at Bitcoin, of course, up close to 10% in the last week, pretty much just around 95K at the moment. And I still think there's an opportunity for it to hit 100K in the next week or so. And I think, again, the markets are starting to tune out the noise. Now it's come to a point where there isn't any real significant news coming out which is impacting the markets. We've already heard the rhetoric. We know everyone's positions. Now I think traders are just focused on taking those opportunities.
So what are investors doing now in the crypto community? What moves? Is it long? Is it short? Is it a hold? What's going on?
Yeah, again, so with Bitcoin, if we're looking at the relative strength index in terms of buyer momentum, buyer volume, at the moment it is tracking at around 58, which in the grand scheme of things is relatively overbought, but based on the current volatility is somewhat in the middle. So I think if it does breach that 60 level, which again, it's literally on the cusp of breaking 60, I do believe we will see a real rise in bullish activity to 100K for Bitcoin.
All right, well, we'll look forward to that. Eliman Dambel, co-founder, Savvy AI, thank you so much for your views.
Cheers, thank you so much.
All right, just before we go, let's see those numbers. Eliman has already said it's about 95, I believe. Bitcoin is about 95,618.58, gone up 1.82%. I know over the weekend it was hovering between 93 and 95, just around that, and it's sustained that up to now. Ethereum is around 1,815.35. XRP, BNB, Solana, well, more greens is what we have. And, you know, the reverse is the case, obviously, when we saw gold losing out because there's a bit of stability. Well, the crypto community is hoping that crypto will be seen as a hedge. So in times of uncertainty, instead of going the way of gold, can we see people come the way of crypto? Well, we'll see. Time will tell as we continue reporting in these different markets. And that's it on Business Incorporated today. Thank you so much for being a part of it. We do appreciate your presence there. It makes it worth a while for us on this side. And that's why we promise to do better every day. So tomorrow we'll start again from Business Morning to Business Incorporated. And then later on tonight, I'll see you for the stock market report. Fingers crossed, it will be a green market. See you then.